Hey there, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Degrassi video on this Wednesday, April the 1st, 2020. Hope everyone's doing okay with the COVID scare and all that. Well, today is a very interesting video. Today is the video about one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. Sex, drugs, and Degrassi. So basically a lot of things have happened with sex, drugs, and Degrassi and all that. And it's hard to describe because obviously with sex and drugs and all that. So anyway, I don't know about Degrassi and sex and all that. So wait a minute. Hold on. Do you really think I'm going to say something about sex and drugs on Degrassi and make it a video? Ew, no. It's April Fool's Day, people. Did I have you going? Did I? No. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. Anyway, I guess you could say it was an April Fool's joke. But just pretend. Just pretend, laugh. Or laugh at me. Ha 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 ha. Very funny, Cutter. Anyway, today's video is about the 10 biggest departures from the show, minus San's graduation. So basically, when I did a Reddit post, I said that what's the biggest departures from the show that did not endure graduation. Of course, we've had a lot of graduating classes. We had Paige's graduating class, Emma's graduating class, Claire's graduating class, Drew's graduation class, you know, all those people. Like, there was a lot of graduation classes and all that. Most students leave after graduation and never get mentioned again. But what about those characters who were famous and then all of a sudden they just disappeared from the show without a trace, or even like a plot line to get rid of them on the show? That counts too. So anyway, I came out with 10 people, and it wasn't easy because I actually have a couple honorable mentions. First honorable mention is, two honorable mentions. First is Dave, because Dave was a decent character in seasons 10 and 11 of Degrassi, and basically he had some plot lines, but then they basically just threw him off the show. And then and Alex, well, I don't think she graduated, but anyway, Alex's departure was huge because she was in that Palix storyline with Paige, and basically they were having some kind of relationship. And it was groundbreaking. I mean, a lesbian relationship on Degrassi, and it wasn't really received with bad reviews by anybody. Well, maybe the fans, but you know. So anyway, those are honorable mentions. And of course, for everyone else, like black hole characters like Chester, no. Chester was only in for a few episodes. They could have done a lot more with him. So anyway, number 10 is Casey from the Degrassi generation after season 7. Now, Casey was involved in the gifted class in season 8 with Allie, Connor, and Claire. And it was weird. It's like Casey is a gifted student. He doesn't look like it. Now, Casey's background is that basically his parents basically have done jail time and all that. Casey's in a group home because both his parents are in jail. And, you know, Connor was trying to befriend Casey, but Casey was basically not doing so well. Casey actually had an affection for Claire, so did Connor. But anyway, Casey and Claire were an item until Claire basically tried to help Casey out with his past and couldn't do it anymore. So basically, he broke up with Claire and went with Jenna. But Jenna was actually trying to steal Casey from Claire because Casey was more her type than Claire's type. So anyway, yeah, Casey had a relationship with his coach, Coach Carson, the coach of basketball, but it became terrible. And Casey was so hurt by Coach Carson that he brought a gun to the school, but thankfully that stopped. And basically, Coach Carson got arrested and charged with stuff. Casey and Jenna end up having a kid. Of course, Jenna tries her best to raise the kid, but Casey as well, but it just doesn't work out, so they decide to give up the kid. And Casey was written out, mostly because his mom actually got out of prison and then basically wanted Casey to move to British Columbia with her, basically to protect themselves from Casey's dad. So anyway, yeah, so Casey got written out and all that. Now, Jenna did not get written out. Jenna actually went through graduation with Connor and all that. Had a relationship with Connor. That was okay. I mean, it's fair. Number 9 is Kendra. Kendra was made to be the sister of Spinner in season 2. Now, Kendra was, if you look at her, you would think Kendra's not Spinner's sister. How? Because, Kendra looks Chinese. Now, Kendra was adopted from China by Spinner's parents. Basically, she's from China, and, Spinner still treats her like her sister, and Spinner basically tells Toby not to do anything bad to Kendra, or else he'll break Toby's face, I guess. So anyway, Spinner loves Kendra, and Kendra and Toby were a thing. Now, of course, Toby has eyes for Kendra, and is worried about the relationship, because Toby realizes that no girl's going to like him for who he is, a geek and all that. But Kendra shows signs of that. But Toby, unfortunately, ruins the relationship by basically saying all these things and speaking for Kendra, and basically realizing that Kendra's going to break up with him, and Toby basically has these weird thoughts. But Kendra sticks by Toby, especially after Toby's eating disorder. Unfortunately for Kendra, Kendra also made a poignant speech in the episode, in the season 2 episode, when, Hazel's Muslim classmate got her International Day thing sprayed with some anti-Muslim stuff. She says that, I don't get it. My parents are white. I'm Chinese. We all like each other. I'm part of the dynamic that works. Yeah. So anyway, I guess Spinner's dad did die during the episode because of the season. During the series, because, if you looked at my last video about the deaths and all that of parents. So anyway, so Kendra did that, and then Kendra was off without a trace. Season 3, she wasn't in much, and then season 4, she was off, and basically Toby explained that he and Kendra broke up, and we didn't see Kendra ever again. The problem was that rumors were circulating that Kendra was going to, that the actress who played Kendra was going to be in a storyline about pregnancy and sex and all that, and her parents basically didn't want Kendra to take part, so they basically took her off, and that's what happened. I would feel bad. Kendra is an Asian main character. We rarely saw Asian main characters and all that. Well, Esme is a main character who is Asian and all that, who's Korean. Although I was confused by the actress's name being Chelsea Clark, but I think her dad, one of her parents is white, and her other parent is Korean, like Chinese or whatever. So yeah, she could play Asian and all that. Yeah, I don't really think there were a lot of Asian main characters. I think, Sane was Chinese, I think, or something like that. Riley and Sane. I think Sane was Asian. Yeah, it was weird how you can't have Asian main characters. Miss Kwan doesn't really count as a main character. She was a teacher. They don't really call teachers main characters. So Kendra, that would have been great. Number 8 is Terry. Now, a lot of people are going to be saying, wait a minute. How the heck is Terry that low on the list? Well, when I did this list, I took a lot of factors into presence. Like, basically, likability of a character, how many their length of being in Degrassi, and basically the circumstances. With those factors, I actually had Terry low on the list. If I didn't worry about the length and basically the link towards the old Degrassi, that being Next Generation and not Next Generation, Junior High and High towards Next Generation, then Terry would have been up higher. I apologize, but that's how I did it. I know everyone is going to say the top 10 is not going to be a perfect top 10, but it's my list. You're free to criticize it. I don't care. So anyway, Terry's number 8. Now, Terry, of course, was the character introduced season 1 who were friends with Paige, who was in Paige's clique and all that, with Paige, Ashley, and Hazel. But unfortunately, Terry had problems with her self-image because she was big and all that. She was plus size. Unfortunately, Terry tried to have relationships in the first few seasons, but unfortunately didn't do so well. Terry was basically being emotionally abused by Paige and her clique and all that. But anyway, Terry did show some good signs. Season 3, Terry gets in a relationship with the person who's going to be on this top 10 list. Another person who's on this top 10 list. Well, of course, it's kind of a big spoiler, but anyway. So anyway, Terry gets into a relationship. She ends up breaking off with the guy, and then somehow she comes back with the guy because her friends all had guys. And she didn't want to be left out. So basically, she did all that. Paige was worried about Terry's well-being. Terry was put in a coma. Paige and Spinner saw her and saw the guy run away from her. Terry, unfortunately, ends her life in a coma, and like her, Degrassi life, pardon. And then in season 4, we find out that she's at a private school. But we only find that out in a deleted scene, which was stupid. But of course, Terry leaving the show and all that. She wanted to do some, Christina Schmidt wanted to do some plus size model stuff. And who can blame her? I mean, she's trying to get into a fashion world where basically image, like skinny image, means nothing. Of course, this was the mid-2000s when it wasn't completely okay for plus size models. But now in the 2010s, like it built up and up and up and up, and body acceptance is accepted more and more. And of course, as I keep saying, that Christina Schmidt used to go to Waterloo Oxford High School. That's where I'm from. I'm Waterloo Oxford alumnus, 1990-2003. So, yeah. Of course, you can guess that I'm in my 30s because obviously I graduated in 2003. I was 18 when I graduated. So, do the math. Number 7 is Sean. Now, Sean had multiple departures on this show. But Sean was in season 1. He was actually a bad boy that Emma kind of liked. Emma with her personality and all that. But Sean messed up the relationship when Sean and Jimmy had a fight and all that. Sean accidentally decked Emma. Emma got mad and basically broke off with him. And then for some reason, Emma came back to Sean. And everything was fine. Emma and Sean were an item. Unfortunately, Sean and Emma's relationship kind of got broke off. Mostly due to the fact that Emma was trying to juggle Sean with a family that had Snake and Chemo and a new baby brother. Sean felt disrespected. Sean basically wanted to look for people and found some people, including Jay and his Candy Bandits. And basically they liked cars. He liked cars. He wanted to fit in with them. So he basically stole some stuff from Emma and all that. Of course, his idea was that because Emma called him pathetic. And Emma had a point because, Sean could have been a much better person. Why would Sean want to be a thug and all that? Everyone hates him. So basically Sean, hangs up with Candy Bandits and he basically does some bad stuff, And then by season 4, he doesn't really change as much, but he's there. And then, of course, Sean had the misfortune of having to deal with a guy with a gun, telling the guy with the gun, basically, that everything's going to be fine because Sean had some issues. Sean accidentally kills the guy. Sean feels great, but then he learns that his feelings are hurt and all that. Ellie tries to get him to open up. Sean partially opens up, but then Sean said, no, I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing this ever. Basically, Sean goes back to Wasaga Beach to talk to his parents because his parents made some kind of statement, but then he bumps into Tyler, the boy that he deafened. Now, a lot of people said that Tyler was a bully and Sean was just standing up for somebody. And then Sean had to leave Wasaga before his parents got angry. But anyway, Sean goes on a jet ski, nearly dies. Tyler thankfully saves his life. Sean comes back to Wasaga dealing with the PTSD from his ordeal with the school shooting. And then basically he's out of the picture. And we thought, okay, well, that's a nasty departure. And then all of a sudden he comes back in season 6. Out of the blue, when Emma actually has a decent relationship with Peter. Of course, a lot of people hated Emma, but, Emma and Peter were decent, and I guess everyone accepted it. Well, after all, Peter did help Emma with her eating disorder. That's one good thing about Peter I like. But anyway, Sean pops up out of nowhere. Unfortunately, Peter feels threatened that Sean is going to steal Emma from him. Peter uses fake drugs to plant Sean and get him expelled. Sean is mad at Peter. They have a street race and then accidentally run over a guy. Sean is put in jail for it. Emma has feelings for Sean. I think Emma realized that Sean could not have done what he did. And then Emma, of course, finds out that Peter framed Sean to keep the relationship with Emma there. It was unknown, but I have a funny feeling Emma wasn't going to be with Sean. I think Emma wanted to be with Peter the whole time. She was just testing the water. Unfortunately, Peter gets fucked over by Emma, rightfully so. Sean lives with Jay and basically gets a job out of mechanics and all that. Emma has feelings for Sean. They want to have sex and all that, but of course everything gets pushed out of the way because of the stabbing of the number 2 guy on this list. And that, having the feelings, Sean feels bad, and then he goes to join the army. And Emma's not too pleased about it. And then, of course, Sean leaves for the army, blah, blah, blah. Emma is pissed. Sean was a decent character. The guy, Daniel Clark, he actually was in a few TV shows before Degrassi. I remembered him from Erie, Indiana, The Other Dimension, which was the spin-off of Erie, Indiana. It was some kind of NBC show. Number 6 is Joey. Now, a lot of people are saying, yeah, I guess the throwback thing and all that. Now, I'm an older Degrassi fan. I'm in my 30s and all that. So basically what ends up happening is that Joey was a great character and all that. Joey in junior high and high was kind of a rat, if you can call it. I don't know. He was okay and all that. He had to deal with some issues. He had to deal with dyscalculia or something. Some kind of learning disability that he felt stupid and all that. But Caitlin helps him out. Joey and Caitlin were off again, on again. And all that. Joey blew it with Caitlin a couple of times. Especially School's Out, the Degrassi High movie that came out. And basically, Joey has feelings for Tessa. Now, it was partially because Caitlin wouldn't give Joey the time of day. So Joey felt dismayed and decided to go with Tessa. Now, when I learned about Tessa, I thought, oh, that's probably just a character that they just made for the episode. But no, I was wrong. Tessa actually was a part of junior high and high. She was with Scooter when they accidentally had the school burned down. Junior high burned down or something like that. She was a partial cause of it. But anyway, Tessa and Joey were an item. Joey decided to keep his relationship with Caitlin still there, even though that, Tessa and Joey. I don't know why Joey went still with Caitlin. I think Caitlin wanted to be with Joey. Unfortunately, Joey messes it up, gets Tessa pregnant. Tessa gets an abortion without telling Joey. She could have just told Joey, and Joey would have been pissed off at himself. So, of course, Joey blows it with both girls and all that. And then we get to Degrassi Next Generation, and he's still there. He's grieving over the loss of his wife, Julia, which we found out the next season was actually Craig's mother and all that. Well, no, Joey didn't father Craig. Craig's mother, Julia, left Albert to be with Joey. And, of course, Albert uses Craig as a punch bag for his emotions after the fact that Julia left him. The problem is that, Joey's character was kind of sapped in a way. The problem with Joey is that, Joey was with Craig. Craig kind of showed Joey little respect, if you will. But, of course, Joey didn't help his cause out a little bit. Although Joey did help Snake get over his chemo, like his cancer thing in season 3, all that, and invited Wheels. And, Joey was there for Snake a lot. All that. Joey, of course, was in that season 4 shooting timeline. People forget about that. Is that Joey and Craig, Craig tried to, Joey has to sell his house because his car business is falling flat. So unfortunately for Joey, Craig calls up his ex, Cindy, who was a realtor and all that. Of course, Caitlin comes over from Africa and finds out that the house is for sale and wants to help Joey. So basically, Joey yells at Craig. Craig goes to school despite the fact that he's sick, but because Craig didn't want to hurt Joey's feelings. Joey and Cindy talk, and Joey basically realized that Craig was right to help out Craig was just doing what he wanted, what he needed to do. The problem, so yeah, of course, Joey and Caitlin bump into each other. Caitlin decides to buy the house to get closer to Joey. I mean, Joey and Caitlin were off get on again, even in Next Generation. Of course, Joey had to deal with the fallout from the shooting, and then, of course, Craig's bipolarism. Joey wants to help Craig as much as possible. Caitlin, unfortunately, wants to be with Kevin Smith and all that. Joey is upset and all that, and we rarely see Joey after season 4. Now, of course, there were rumors that Pat Mascheroni, the guy who played Joey, was canned because he was selling some Degrassi stuff on eBay. But I doubt it. But anyway, yeah, Joey in storyline moved to Calgary with Angie, and that was the end of that. That would have been nice. But I think that the Degrassi writers did the OGs, as they call it, dirty with the fact that you're a character in junior high and high, and now you go to Next Generation, and you basically, your storylines are written out. Speaking of that philosophy, the other OG that is on this list is number 5. And number 5 is the guy that I've spent years hating on because of his involvement in the shooting timeline in season 4 of Next Gen. But coming through the next 2 years, I basically learned I should be more sympathetic to this guy. And of course, you know who I'm talking about because I spent like 3 videos talking about this guy and have mentioned him in many other videos. And that is, of course, Daniel Radich, the first principal of Degrassi School. Now, I know that you can kind of say that the disappearance of Hatzalakos or Pill or Shep would be on this list too. But yeah, a lot of people focus on the kid characters, not the teachers and all that. So yeah, Hatzalakos was a shame. I mean, Hatzalakos was a very good principal, and then she left to go to Saskatchewan to deal with her mother. And then, of course, Shep took over, and Shep basically fucked up the school. Now, Shep's departure was not big enough. Everyone probably wanted him gone. So Hatzalakos came back, spent a season, and then gave Snake the keys to the car, if you will. Now, I know Snake departed from the show, kind of, but that was only for half a season. And then Pill, that was a big departure, but I think they were just bringing her on to finish the school year. Finish up the string, if you will. So anyway, yeah, so Raj was the English teacher in junior high, and then he went up to vice principal in Degrassi High, and Joey didn't really feel that good about Raj and all that. I mean, Raj was trying to help Joey out and all that. I don't know why Joey didn't like Raj's help. I think Joey thought that Raj was basically mean and all that. But of course, this is the 1980s. Different personas and different things happened. Of course, he was actually seen briefly in Schools Out, being at Simon and Alexa's wedding. He didn't have a speaking role, but you notice who he is. So then, of course, you got Degrassi Next Gen and then Mother and Child Reunion. He's there, and he's the principal of Degrassi Community School. Okay. So basically, in season 1, he was okay, he had a brief clash with Emma, but that was because Emma was upset over the school news having something with squeegee kids, blah, 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 condescending views, and then Raj says, why don't you write for the school paper? Raj, of course, had to confront Spinner about mooning the school during the basketball game because Spinner was taking ADD pills, and he missed one dose, which he gave to Jimmy, who was trying to outplay Sean for the basketball team. So basically, Spinner didn't want to rat Jimmy out, saying that, Jimmy had the ADD pill and all that. So, of course, Raj says that you're going to take your medication with me present so that I know what's going to happen. So, yeah, he was okay. He was okay. I mean, he was decent. Then season 2, he was getting a little decent, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, you got Fight for Your Right when he clashed over the genetically modified foods debate with Emma. So, basically, what ends up happening with Emma and Raj is that basically Raj tells Emma and Ashley in the group who wanted to promote genetically modified foods for a presentation. They do a good presentation. Raj tells them that it's a good presentation. Unfortunately, because of cutbacks and the fact that we're close to losing the cafeteria, we can't do anything about it. It's cost effectiveness. And, it's all down to dollars and cents. And Emma didn't realize that. Emma passes out flyers. Raj basically takes them away. And Emma was actually going to concede to Raj. People forget about that. Emma said that Raj has a point, blah, blah, blah. And then they do that calf commercial that actually triggered Emma. I bet you Raj did that. Of course, Raj blamed Emma for the food fight in the cafeteria, but it was just a pure misunderstanding, and he jumped to the conclusions about Emma's flyers and all that, but I think Emma was getting a cold shoulder from the flyers. Basically, Emma turns her attention from genetically modified foods to freedom of speech. Raj doesn't like the fact that Emma's speaking out against him, and basically outed him, in a sense. He was okay. At the end of season 2, he dealt with Craig's dad's death in a decent way. Like, he was there for the funeral, and he was basically telling Craig, he didn't stop Craig from his destructive streak because Craig needed to get his emotions out. He knew. Raj knew. And then season 3 became a little bit more unbearable. The Saturday detention thing was the big one. I mean, I get it. Sean should have got in trouble for yelling at Radish. Toby and Jimmy obviously definitely deserved to get in trouble for trying to change grades on a computer. Hazel for illegal sites. Yeah. And Ellie for skipping class. Fair enough. I know they wanted to do that Saturday detention thing. So, unfortunately, what ends up happening is that, they do Breakfast Club send-off, blah, blah, blah. They actually did it more comical because they made Radish a little more comical than Dean Fernan in the 1985 movie. So anyway, so Radish, the Saturday detention, Snake tells them that they're good kids and they have to learn and all that. There's nothing wrong with giving them detentions and suspensions and all that, like a normal teacher. But why Saturday detention? I don't get it. But then season 4, a different type of character happened. Season 4, he lets in a certain student back to Degrassi. The guy I'm going to talk about next. And then basically, it was met with anger from the students. The students didn't like that. Emma told Radish straight out that we don't want him at our school. And Radish says that this is not one of your stupid causes. Kind of missing the point on everything. They do the silent campaign in a sense to get back at Radish for being a tyrant, if you will. And then, of course, in Time Stands Still, he deals with a certain student and basically he tells that student, come back to me when something serious happens, because Radish thinks that the student is being angry because of he not making friends, and he thought Radish should force the student to make friends. Radish is, of course, appalled when the student gets painted and feathered, and then realizes that he botched it. He tries to tell the student in a deleted scene, stupidly enough, that you can go home, blah, blah, blah. Snake basically is not too happy with Radish, saying that you have to do something about it. Then the shooting happens, and then Snake lashes at Radish again. Radish did have a point, saying that, how did I know he had a gun, or how he would overreact to some paint? Snake knew, and Snake took responsibility. I think it was more about accountability. So then we don't see Radish for a while, and then Voices Carry happens when he basically tells Liberty and JT we can't do Dracula because of the thing and all that. I think I name dropped somebody I wasn't supposed to name drop. Yeah, I name dropped somebody I wasn't supposed to. But anyway, yeah, so basically the Dracula situation. And then, of course, Liberty and JT basically tell Radish, well, they do the musical, but they do a song basically trying to get Radish to wind it up, but Radish wouldn't. He was upset that they called him out on it and basically gave him Monday detention. And then 2 days later, he was out the door himself, never to be seen or heard from. Never seen her from again, because the school board basically reassigned him. And he's lucky he got reassigned, because he would have been fired. He probably would have lost his teaching license, basically persona non grata, and might have got sued by Rick's parents. But anyway, yeah, so he left the show. Hatzalakos became the new principal. It was sad to see him go. For me, I wish that Radish played out the string in season 4 and basically decides to retire on his own accord and not be forced out. And of course, the guy who he botched the situation with is number 4, and that's Rick. Now you're thinking, big departure, how's this have to do? Because it changed the Degrassi dynamic for a long time. Of course, as I said, in season 3, Terry was dating this guy, and of course that would be Rick. Rick, unfortunately, was emotionally and physically abusive towards Terry, and of course caused Terry to go into a coma. Rick left the school. I guess his parents pulled him out. And basically we thought, oh, good, he got his dessert, he's gone. Season 4 comes on, he shakes hands with Raj, he's back at the school. Paige, Spinner, and a lot of them were upset that Rick came back and wanted to make Rick's life a living hell for trying to hurt a beloved person like Terry and all that. So Rick's life is a living hell at the school, but he doesn't let it bother him. I mean, Rick wanted people to think that he changed, but unfortunately, once an abuser, always abuser. So basically, the students really didn't give him much of a chance. He tried his best. But unfortunately, Rick's only friends ended up being Emma, Jimmy, Toby, and Heather St. Clair. Mostly because of the Wacky Brain Team. Of course, Rick gets put in a dumpster by Jimmy and Spinner. He retaliates. He never did, but he decides to retaliate because I think he was hoping that they would basically back off because, they got victimized too. But unfortunately, it just made Spinner, Jay, and Alex matter, and basically they wanted to destroy Rick. Also because, he convinced Jimmy that Jimmy's on the wrong side of things and all that. So basically, they do the paint and feathers. Rick basically is embarrassed. Rick basically wants to have Emma for comfort, tries to kiss Emma. Emma's like, what the hell are you doing? Of course, Rick had the affection for Emma because Emma saved Rick from being beaten up in season 4. And he thought it was affection. Whereas it was just Emma basically trying to say that the cause is not worth it anymore. And I think Emma, in a sense, was trying to prevent herself from being in deep trouble. Because if the silent campaign had forced Rick out of the school, Raj would have definitely ruined Emma. But anyway, so Emma spurned him. He finds a gun in his dad's desk. He decides to take the gun and go after somebody. He first goes after Paige, but Paige doesn't see the gun, and then Paige basically tells Rick that everything was childish, and Rick realizes that Paige could not have set up the paint and feathers. So basically, Rick basically apologizes for what he did to Terry and puts the gun in his locker, wants to clean up, and then all of a sudden, Spinner and Jay trick Rick into believing Jimmy did it. Jimmy did everything. Like as an inside man, so Rick shoots Jimmy in the spine. Rick finds Emma and wants to kill her for spurring his advances, but Sean accidentally shoots him with his own gun. Rick's death was huge because a lot of students actually felt guilt that, their bullying may have led to trouble. And, Rick's parents basically left town because they didn't want to be associated with a place that had its darkest point. I mean, Rick's parents obviously would have been told about everything. Like, Rick's parents wouldn't have understood and all that. I think they probably would have tried to destroy the school, but I think the school board might have given them a settlement or something. Or basically Raj's head on a platter, if you will. So so Rick's death, and Rick could be smiling up from hell that he changed Degrassi's dynamic forever, because it changed Degrassi's perceptions. And then, of course, the final 3 in this list are death-related, obviously. Number 3, you got Adam. Adam was a trailblazer in the Degrassi series. He was the first transgender character ever in Degrassi history. Basically, Adam wanted to be a boy. He wanted to be like his stepbrother, Drew. Now, it was said that Drew's mom is not Adam's mom. They both have different dads. Drew and Adam had different dads, so that's the relationship being stepmother and stepfather. But anyhow, Adam wanted to be like Drew and took all necessary precautions, taping down the breasts, trying to act like a man and all that. He found a lot of acceptance. Claire, for how Christian she was, she actually accepted Adam for who he was, which was pretty good. All that, a lot of hypocrites and all that. But anyway, Adam was a great character and all that. Groundbreaking. Not many North American shows had a transgender character. So basically, what ends up happening is that, Adam has some great storylines, trying to be a male and all that. His mother finally accepting who he was. But unfortunately, Adam had relationship issues with, I believe, Imogen and Becky. Couldn't decide which one. But of course, Adam just had to text and drive, and then was texting Becky how much she means to him. Unfortunately, Adam dies in a car crash, and basically, texting and driving is bad. It was a PSA, if you will. But it killed off a major character too fast for us to realize it. Now, of course, the actress who played Adam wanted to leave the show, but I mean, to have Adam killed off like that, pathetic. A lot of people had sadness about Adam. Now, Adam's death actually, like I said, about the Christian hypocrisy, it was linked to Becky because, Becky liked Adam and cared about Adam. Of course, Adam was transgendered, and Becky's parents are against transgendered people, and basically how bad and all that. I still say that Becky's mom might have had some hatred towards Becky because Becky wanted to be around a transgendered person. But in a way, Becky was shunned by her family because she wouldn't testify to help Luke out in his rape trial. But Luke told Becky everything. I mean, it was Luke's fault just as much as Becky's. Well, it wasn't Becky's fault. Luke even admitted that being in jail made him a better person. Anyway. Yeah, so Adam killed off. Number 2 is good old Cam. Right? Wrongo. Cam's actually number 1. Now, a lot of people will be thinking, hang on a minute. Didn't you say JT is a bigger death than Cam? Actually, no. JT's number 2 for one main reason. JT's death was not really felt for multiple seasons like Cam's. So anyway, JT is number 2 for disappearances. Now, JT was introduced in the first episode being alongside Toby and, JT being comic relief and all that, having a few decent storylines and all that. He even tried to help Toby deal with an eating disorder in season 2. And of course, JT basically was an actor and all that. Everyone was basically just laughing at him and all that. But anyway, JT, kept things going. JT wanted to impress Manny, but he thinks that Manny was interested in Craig because of his wiener size. So JT gets a penis pump, and basically, Manny catches him. So unfortunately, JT just messed that up. Of course, JT didn't have a relationship with another girl until Liberty came in the picture. And that was mostly because JT and Liberty were working on Dracula. I think it was set up before the whole Rick Murray situation floundered. So basically, what ended up happening was that JT and Liberty were mad that Raj would kibosh the play instead of just postponing it, which would have been the normal thing to do. But they figured that Raj was just being a tyrant and all that. And of course, off screen, I mean, what? Who knows what could have happened? The school just didn't have confidence in him. They tried to get the drama club to sing the song about it, but they refused because they were worried about being expelled. So basically, JT and Liberty sing the song to Raj's face. Raj gives them Monday detention, and basically, they met their feelings for each other. Now, of course, people think that JT and Liberty basically may have said something to the school board about Raj, but I don't think so. I think that the school board was going to get rid of Raj as is, without any interference and all that. They would have did an investigation. So anyway, season 5 happens. JT and Liberty are happily together. Although Danny, Liberty's brother, was not too happy because, Liberty could do so much better. And besides, Danny was jealous because JT was supposed to hang out with him, not Liberty. But he came around. So basically, Liberty and JT are there. Liberty accidentally gets pregnant by JT. JT decides to do everything in his power to make sure that Liberty's happy and, be a good father, but things just kept getting worse and worse. And then after getting a pharmacist's job, Jay convinces him to get drugs because, the money and all that. But Liberty finds that out and wants JT to quit this thing now. JT tries to get out of the drug selling business, but the major drug dealer refuses to have JT around and wants to go after him. JT now has to face a drug dealer problem, Liberty problem, and possible drug charges. So he takes some pills and all that. It was a suicide attempt because, why would you take pills unknowingly? JT thankfully survives. Liberty does break off with JT and puts the baby up for adoption, even though JT was doing his damnedest to try to do what he could. I think the writers in season 5 just didn't have good storylines, except for the Spit of Redemption arc, but anyway. So anyway, yeah, in season 6, Liberty and JT go their separate ways. JT is interested in Mia, someone from Lakehurst who has a 2-year-old named Isabella. Liberty felt a little jealous and all that, of course. But Liberty drove JT away. I mean, it was her fault. So anyway, JT's with Mia. Unfortunately, Lakehurst has it out for him because Mia is the ex of a gang leader named Nick, and of course Nick wants him destroyed. So they have this party. Well, Emma and Manny throw a party for JT. Emma and Manny, throw the party for Liberty's birthday. And, JT has thoughts and decides, I think mostly to get out of this gang feud, to go after Liberty and just leave Mia for Lakehurst to deal with. So he tries to find Liberty, but finds Drake and Johnny DeMarco peeing on his car. He makes some kind of joke, and then Drake, the redhead, comes in, stabs JT in the aorta. JT profusely bleeds out. Liberty finds him and screams. I didn't like that scream. So unfortunately, JT could not be saved, and basically the school is in mourning. I mean, the episode after was just critical and all that, and how Liberty finally showed some emotions after realizing that JT wanted to be with her over Mia in the first place. Now, of course, JT's death, I didn't agree with it because I know that Ryan Cooley, the guy who played JT, wanted to go to university and all that. But there was nothing wrong with JT maybe accepting some kind of acting job somewhere else, and he basically pops up from time to time. That would have been a nice thing instead of killing someone off like that. Yeah, but I guess Ryan asked for it. But, JT's death had a profound impact for a few episodes. I mean, like Liberty showed some emotions. Emma taking up the cause. I think she was more ticked at the fact that Lakehurst is getting away with it. And to make matters worse, Lakehurst was in a cheerleading competition at Degrassi. So I think that was probably fuel that lit the flame because, Lakehurst, why are they there with Degrassi? Yeah, 2 students did something bad. All that. And maybe, just maybe, Nick had something to do with it because we never hear about him after this episode. It's possible that Nick may have asked somebody to knock off JT, maybe just hurt him, but, that's still conspiracy or something like that. And as I said in previous episodes, that Emma wanted Manny's help because Manny would calm her down and all that. But Manny was too busy with stuff for Emma. I think that was mostly it. I think Manny didn't realize how much Emma was hurting. Emma, of course, would have her PTSD strike. Okay, and of course, number 1 is Cam Saunders. Disappeared without being graduated. Well, of course, he died. But so Cam was a great character and all that. He was a hockey player coming up from Kapiskasky. I mispronounced it wrong. I'm not redoing it. So anyway, he comes up from Northern Ontario to play for the Ice Hounds, some kind of junior team. Not major junior team, because that's an OHL team. But anyway, yeah, he comes to Toronto and all that to play for the Ice Hounds. Unfortunately, he starts to get homesick. Well, who wouldn't? You come from 3,000 kilometers. Some major kilometers away up north and all that. Of course, and coming to a big city like Toronto, it can be assuming. Maya tries her best to help Cam out, but Cam's teammates are of no help either. Cam tries to hurt himself to get out of hockey because he doesn't feel like playing hockey is good. And I think he wanted to go back home. Maya tries to calm him down. Cam gets mad at Sig because, Sig had said some stuff to him and triggered Cam. Cam got suspended for a week. He tried to explain himself, but I think Snake didn't realize that. But anyway, he apologizes to Maya and all that. He spends the night at Maya's house. Just calm down. And then he's gone the next morning. Maya's like, okay, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, Eli is setting up a picnic with Claire at the JT York Memorial Garden, sees something, and just gasps. Why did I snort? But anyway, of course, Maya's ready for a cello audition, and all of a sudden, Principal Simpson calls her, and Katie, and said that basically Cam died last night. They didn't say how he died. Like he could have had blood loss. He could have slashed himself to death. Who knows? But another theory is that because he was at the Memorial Garden, he might have found some garden chemicals and drank them. As somebody who used to work at a garden center for 3 months last year, 2019, of course, I kind of understand the toxicity of things. So yeah, I think so. I think that might have been another thing too. So anyway, so Cam's death has an impact on Maya. Maya, starts going downhill and all that, and then she tries to be more promiscuous and all that. I think she was trying to get away from the fact that she felt guilty about not helping Cam enough, and that was her problem because Maya always had it in her head that with her, because Cam died, she did a bad job and she's not worth it anymore. But anyway, yeah, she's fine. Season 13, basically, she turned the corner and basically wanted to be more mature and all that. Now, Cam's death did affect the whole school. Dallas went on a diatribe and almost jumped off the roof. He was on the roof, but Fiona calms him down. Thank goodness for that. I think Dallas knew that he fucked everything up. So anyway, Cam's death had a profound effect on Maya for multiple seasons. This is like multiple seasons that hit hard. So anyway, Maya always wanted to help someone else. She did a good job, but at times she would basically overstep her boundaries and try to be helpful. I mean, Maya had to. Maya felt terrible about Cam and wanted to, in her head, basically make things right. She could have accepted that. The problem is that, she had to go see a professional season 14. Her mom told her not to go after Miles. I know that Maya wants to help Miles, but Maya is trying. But Maya, I think probably didn't want to admit that, Cam's death still affected her. But anyway, Maya does okay. Maya helps Sig because, Sig is in a gang and all that, and Maya thinks that that's the best way to alleviate her guilt. So she does. And then, unfortunately, there was a bus crash in season 2 of Next Class, and then basically, Maya goes down the dark path downwards and basically wants to kill herself by taking pills and all that. She realizes she's not doing anything right and decides to jump off the roof, not giving the pills enough time to kick in. And then the pills kick in on the roof. Thankfully, Sig and Esme had a funny feeling and saved Maya's life. Maya starts to get a little better and all that by the end of Next Class and all that. So Cam's death affected Maya the most. So anyway, thanks for watching this deaths thing. I wish my April Fool's joke was much better, but of course, it's me. I'm not good at April Fool's jokes whatsoever. So anyway, this is Cutter saying so long and enjoy your April.